Imagine sitting in a boardroom, right? You're finalizing the launch of a product that everyone, and I mean literally everyone, told you they would absolutely buy.
Sounds like a dream scenario.
Exactly. So you pull the trigger, the site goes live, and you end up losing $10 million because 0 people actually hand over a credit card.
Ouch. Yeah, that is a brutal reality check.
It really is. So today we're unpacking why your customers are unintentionally lying to you and how to stop building things nobody actually wants. We're pulling apart a massive stack of research for this deep dive today, focusing on lean startup principles, customer validation, and, well, the cold hard math of SaaS growth.
It is a lot to cover, but it's so important.
Yeah. For you, the curious learner listening right now, the mission is to cut through all the startup buzzwords. We want to extract a real functional shortcut to building a product people will actually pay for without wasting your time, your money, or, your own ego. Okay, let's unpack this.
It's a phenomenal data set to explore, primarily because it attacks a widespread delusion in the business world. Like, when we look at the historical postmortems of failed companies, a core thesis emerges pretty quickly.
Which is what?
Well, most startups do not fail because they can't execute. They don't fail because the code is bad or the engineering team is somehow incompetent. They fail because they systematically misallocate capital toward products that nobody actually asked for.
Misallocating capital toward things nobody asked for, which, that immediately begs the question, why don't we just ask the customer what they want?
Right, it feels like the obvious move.
Yeah, it seems like the most logical starting point for any founder or product manager. But the research on customer validation dives deeply into the psychology of false validation. Specifically what behavioral scientists call the fallacy of stated preference.
And this is a critical psychological mechanism to understand. Because human beings are remarkably terrible at predicting their own future behavior.
We really are.
If you ask someone what they want, they will give you a logical, aspirational answer based on their ideal self. But actual purchasing behavior is driven by friction, budget constraints, and deeply ingrained habits.
Like me saying I'm going to buy a gym membership and go 5 days a week.
Exactly. The Nielsen-Norman Group actually ran extensive research on this. They found only an R value of 0.44 to 0.53 when correlating a user's stated preferences with their actual behavior.
Okay, so just to clarify for everyone, in statistical terms, an R value of 1 is a perfect correlation. So a 0.44 means stated preference is barely a signal at all.
Yeah, it's pretty weak.
It's basically marginally better than a coin toss.
And if you base your entire product roadmap on what people say they will do, you're essentially gambling your funding. Which brings us to the framework we're looking at, popularized by Rob Fitzpatrick's concept of the MOM test.
Oh, I love the MOM test.
It's great. It identifies 3 massive feedback traps that generate all this false validation.
Right, so the first one is the compliment trap. You pitch your idea, and the prospect says, oh, wow, that's such a great idea. But they're just being polite, right? Just to avoid social friction.
Exactly. They don't want to tell you your baby is ugly.
Yeah. And then the second is the fluff trap. This happens when prospects use hypothetical language. Things like, oh, I usually do it that way, or I would definitely buy that.
I have to say, the word would might be the most dangerous word in product development.
Really? Why is that?
Because it allows the customer to commit to a hypothetical future where they have infinite time and infinite money. And, neither of those exists in reality.
That makes total sense. And then the third trap is the idea trap, which is basically taking feature requests at face value. A customer says, hey, you should build an XSplit integration for this. The product team writes it down, assumes it's market validation, and just builds it.
And the consequences of these traps are staggering. That $10 million loss you mentioned at the start, that was Rob Fitzpatrick's own team. They kept hearing potential customers say, I would definitely buy that. And they interpreted that polite enthusiasm as a green light.
Oh, man.
So they built the product, and when it was time to collect payments, those enthusiastic prospects completely vanished.
Just ghosted them. And it's not just about losing money on an entire company. It's about wasting engineering cycles on specific features, too, like the MTV disaster from the research.
Oh, the MTV story is a perfect illustration of that.
It's so painful but hilarious. So a development team was selling software to MTV, right? And MTV explicitly requested analytics and reports for their campaigns. So the dev team spent months building this highly complex interactive analytics dashboard.
Months of engineering time.
Exactly. But the mechanism of the failure is what's so fascinating. After delivering this beautiful, expensive dashboard, MTV kept calling the development team every Friday.
Asking for what?
asking them to manually export the data and email them a report.
Oh, you are kidding.
No, the team built exactly what was requested, but they never asked why MTV wanted it. It turned out nobody at MTV was logging in to analyze data. They literally just needed a branded PDF emailed to them weekly so they could forward it to their own clients.
Oh.
Yeah, an intern could have generated it manually.
See, enterprise users don't buy software to look at data. They buy software to eliminate chores. The chore for MTV wasn't analyzing data. The chore was reporting to clients. The branded PDF eliminated the chore, whereas the dashboard just created a whole new one.
But wait, shouldn't we listen to our users? I mean, if they ask for an export feature, aren't we supposed to be customer-centric and just build it?
What's fascinating here is that you don't ignore the user, but you have to dig beneath the request. You anchor them to past behavior rather than future promises.
Okay, how do you do that in a conversation?
So when they ask for a feature, you ask them, how are you dealing with this problem today? Walk me through exactly what happened the last time you tried to pull this data.
Make them prove it's a real issue.
Right. If they cannot describe a current, painful workaround they are actively using, the problem isn't actually acute enough to warrant building a solution.
We are looking for the bleeding neck, basically. Since we can't always trust what people tell us they want, we have to look for where they're already expressing genuine pain.
Exactly.
Which means analyzing where the current market solutions are actively failing them.
And this leads to the strategy of systemic gap identification through competitor review mining.
That's a mouthful.
It is, but the concept is simple. Instead of asking people to invent a perfect product from scratch in an interview, you analyze the existing wreckage of your competitors.
And the most efficient way to do that, according to the sources, is through software directories like G2 and Capterra. Because buyers rarely start a software journey by searching for a specific brand.
Right, they search for the category.
Yeah, like project management software or email marketing software. And these directories rank at the top of Google because they offer what buyers actually want: side-by-side comparisons, pricing filters, and most importantly, unfiltered reviews.
Those unfiltered reviews are pure gold for a product builder. The data outlines this feature gap framework to systematically harvest this signal. Basically, you completely ignore the 5-star reviews.
Ignore them completely.
Completely. Instead, you extract the 1-star to 3-star reviews across several major competitors, and you score those complaints on 2 axes: severity and breadth.
Okay, define those.
Severity measures how deeply a flaw frustrates the user, usually on a scale of 1 to 5. Breadth measures how many different competitors suffer from this exact same flaw.
The case studies in the data illustrate this perfectly. Like when analyzing email marketing platforms, researchers found a 4.5 out of 5 severity score for laggy, rigid templates.
That's a huge pain point.
Yeah, and it wasn't just one platform. The breadth was massive. Or for CRMs, they found a 4.3 severity score for lacking out-of-the-box workflow automation. Users were furious that they had to pay thousands of dollars to external consultants just to make the CRM perform basic tasks.
And see, if you find a complaint with high severity but low breadth, it just means one specific competitor built a bad feature. But if you find high severity and high breadth across 10 different competitors,
then you have a real opportunity.
exactly, you have discovered a verified market vulnerability. The entire industry is failing at this specific task.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. Mining these 1-star reviews is basically like doing an autopsy on your competitor's product.
I like that analogy.
Yeah, you get to see exactly what killed the user experience without having to make the mistake yourself. You get the blueprint of what not to do.
Absolutely.
Okay, even if you find that perfect 1-star review and spot the massive gap in CRM automation, you still have a problem. How do you know anyone will actually pay you to fix it before you spend 6 months coding?
Well, that impulse to immediately lock yourself in a room and code the solution, that is the downfall of countless founders.
Yeah.
Lean startup methodology dictates that you have to prove intent first, which involves smoke testing and building a minimum viable product, or MVP.
And an MVP isn't just a stripped-down, half-broken product, right?
No, not at all. It is a highly focused experiment. It's designed to test a single hypothesis in a severely constrained timeline, usually 2 to 6 weeks.
And that constraint is what forces the innovation. To hit that timeline, the methodology relies on Moscow prioritization: must have, should have, could have, and will not have.
Right.
But must have doesn't mean must have for a working product. It means must have to test the core hypothesis. Everything else just gets thrown into the will not have bucket.
Which is brutal but necessary.
Yeah. The strict 4-week timeline in the sources breaks down really efficiently. Week 1 is for scoping the hypothesis. Week 2 is for building the core using existing tools like Stripe for payments or Firebase for a backend.
Just piecing it together.
Exactly. Week 3 involves testing with just 5 real users to catch glaring usability errors. And week 4 is the launch.
That speed prevents you from falling in love with a bad idea. And we see some brilliant MVP archetypes in the data that bypass heavy engineering entirely.
Like the Wizard of Oz MVP.
Yes. Famously used by Zappos. The technical risk of building an e-commerce backend and managing warehouse inventory was massive back then. But the market risk, whether people would actually buy shoes online without trying them on, that was the real unknown.
Right. Nobody was doing that yet.
So the founder just went to local shoe stores, took photos of the inventory, and put them on a basic website. When an order came in, he physically went to the store, bought the shoes at retail price, and mailed them to the customer.
The mechanism there is so brilliant. Because to the user, the experience feels fully automated, which proves their willingness to pay. But behind the curtain, a human is pulling the levers manually.
It isolates and tests the highest risk variable instantly. Similarly, you have the video MVP. Dropbox faced a deeply complex technical challenge, syncing files across different operating systems.
Which would have taken years to build.
Exactly. Instead of spending 2 years building the infrastructure just to see if people even cared, Drew Houston created a 3-minute video demonstrating how the interface would work. He posted it to a tech forum, and the waitlist exploded from 5,000 to 75,000 overnight.
Just from a video.
Just from a video. That video served as a smoke test. Whether you use a video or a landing page, you need objective metrics to validate the test. The benchmark for a reliable smoke test requires driving at least 1,000 targeted visitors to the page.
And what's the conversion goal?
The absolute cutoff for validation is a 0.5% conversion rate on the primary call to action, like a buy or sign up button. Anything less indicates the market positioning is wrong or the pain point simply isn't severe enough.
But wait, if I set up a fake door landing page with a pricing tier and a buy now button for a product that doesn't actually exist yet, isn't that just lying to the customer? Like, you're potentially burning brand trust the moment they click that button and realize it's a fake.
That's a very valid concern. But the framework solves this by building in what it calls an ethical off-ramp.
An ethical off-ramp.
Yeah. When the user clicks the buy now button, they aren't taken to a broken checkout page or a 404 error. They are immediately shown a prompt explaining that due to overwhelming response, the product is currently in active closed development.
I see.
Then they're offered a spot on a priority waitlist or invited to become an early design partner. So you instantly transition from a transactional test into a warm lead generation strategy. It preserves the trust while capturing the empirical data that they were, in fact, willing to buy.
Okay, so you passed the mom test, you found a gap in the 1-star reviews, and you achieved a solid conversion on your smoke test. You build the product, people are buying it. Success. Right.
Not necessarily.
Right, because you can have brilliant product market fit, but still bankrupt the company if the underlying unit economics are broken. Which leads us to the hidden killer of growing businesses.
And this is where things get really analytical. A company that is doubling its revenue year over year can still be failing fundamentally if it is accumulating what's called unit economics debt. This requires a ruthless analysis of customer acquisition cost, or CAC, and customer lifetime value, or CLTV.
Now, the formula for CAC seems pretty straightforward. You just take your total sales and marketing costs and divide it by the number of new customers acquired. But Redpoint Ventures highlights a massive trap here and how founders actually calculate this in the real world.
The trap is exclusion.
Yeah.
Many software companies calculate their CAC by only looking at direct advertising spend, like what they pay Google or LinkedIn for the clicks.
It's just the ad budget.
Exactly. But if you exclude the fully burdened salaries of your sales and marketing teams and the cost of the software tools they use, you underestimate your true acquisition costs by 30 to 50%.
That is a huge margin of error.
It really is. If you pay a sales team, buy them expensive CRM licenses, and run ad campaigns, a founder might look at a spreadsheet and think their CAC is $1,200. But fully burdened, the reality is often closer to $1,800.
And that $600 discrepancy just destroys the golden rule of unit economics, the LTV to CAC ratio. The lifetime value of the customer has to be at least 3 times what it costs to acquire them.
By 3-to-1 ratio, exactly.
But that lifetime value also has to be calculated based on gross margin, not just raw revenue, right?
Yes. Gross margin is the money left over after the raw costs of delivering the software like server hosting and direct customer support. You should be aiming for a 70 to 80% gross margin.
Okay, so if it costs you $35 to deliver a $100 subscription, you only have $65 left to pay your engineers, your office rent, and your marketing.
Precisely. And the data indicates that if your margins fall below 65%, your company requires 40% more capital just to reach profitability. Your runaway evaporates exponentially faster because your fixed costs do not scale down.
The element of time is equally critical here too, specifically the CAC payback period. Like if you spend that fully burdened $1,800 to acquire a customer on day one, but they're only paying you $100 a month, it takes 18 months just to break even on that specific user.
And a healthy payback period is under 12 months.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Think of unit economics debt like using a high-interest credit card to pay off another credit card. You look like you have plenty of cash flow, you feel rich, but if it takes 24 months to pay back the CAC, and the customer leaves after 18 months, you are permanently losing money on every single sale. Scaling the business just accelerates your own bankruptcy.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, managing that CAC, optimizing payback periods, and maintaining high gross margins, that is really just playing defense. It keeps the business alive. But if you want to play offense and grow exponentially, you have to look at the single most powerful lever in business.
Which is retention.
Exactly, retention.
And this brings us to the difference between gross revenue retention, or GRR, and net revenue retention, or NRR. GRR is basically the baseline, right?
Right. It measures the revenue retained from an existing cohort of customers over a period of time without factoring in any upgrades. World-class B2B SaaS usually maintains a GRR above 90%.
But NRR is the metric that changes everything, because it actually includes expansion revenue like upsells, cross-sells, and usage-based upgrades.
And the magic of an NRR above 100% is that it completely changes the operational baseline of a company. If you are sitting at 110% NRR, it means your existing customer base is generating more revenue at the end of the year than they did at the start, even after accounting for the customers who left.
Wait, so if my NRR is 110%, does that literally mean I could fire my entire sales and marketing team, spend $0 on ads, and my company would still grow by 10% this year?
Technically, yes.
Right.
Which is exactly why SaaS companies with net negative churn command such massive valuation premiums. It proves the product delivers such undeniable value that customers naturally deepen their reliance on it.
That is incredible.
But to achieve that, you must systematically eliminate baseline churn. And the research breaks churn reduction into two actionable categories: voluntary and involuntary churn.
Okay, so voluntary churn is when a user actually decides to cancel. They physically click the cancel button. And solving that usually involves cancel flow discounts or offering them the ability to pause a subscription rather than fully canceling.
Right, save the relationship however you can. But involuntary churn is a purely operational failure. The user actually wants to keep the software, but their credit card expires or the transaction just fails.
Oh, that's the worst way to lose a customer.
It is. And the mechanism to solve that is dunning management and automated payment retries. By implementing card updaters and automated back-end systems, you catch the silent killers before the user even realizes there is a payment issue.
So it prevents an expired piece of plastic from destroying a multi-year customer relationship.
Exactly. It is pure operational hygiene, but it preserves a massive amounts of cohort revenue, which provides the stable foundation you need to push NRR above that 100% threshold.
Wow, okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. It's a really rigorous, unforgiving framework. Let's summarize the ultimate roadmap we've unpacked for everyone.
Let's do it.
First, you have to dodge the fluff of the mom test. Do not trust hypothetical compliments or stated preferences. Second, locate the systemic market gaps hiding within the severity and breadth of one-star competitor reviews. Third, validate actual purchasing demand with a 4-week Moscow prioritized MVP and run a smoke test to hit that 0.5% conversion mark. And finally, ruthlessly monitor your fully burdened LTV to CAC ratio and strive for an NRR above 100% to ensure sustainable growth.
It is a profound shift in how to build things. But, I want to leave you with a broader application to mull over.
Oh, yeah.
We've framed these principles entirely around corporate growth and software startups today. But consider your own life, your career trajectory, or even your personal projects.
That's an interesting angle.
How often do you rely on the fluff of friends or colleagues telling you what you want to hear, instead of analyzing the hard data of your own historical behavior? Are you running your own life on unit economics, investing massive amounts of time and energy into habits or projects that simply do not pay back their acquisition cost? The principles of lean validation apply far beyond just the boardroom.
Are you building your life on quicksand because you were too afraid to test the ground first? Man, that is a tremendous thought to leave on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. For you listening, we hope you found the shortcut to building things that truly matter. Until next time, keep digging deeper and always keep questioning your assumptions.